صلي وسلم للعالمين. Inshallah, today we will have some reflections on Surah Al-Baqarah. As you know, we started this series of Halaqa with the goal really to have reflections on the Quran and in the month of the Quran. And to me, really, we spend a lot of time, reading the Quran, but we don't spend enough time really reflecting on it. So that's really the purpose of this series. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always, giving us the reminder is that أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. And Tadabbur al-Quran will really give you better understanding and better connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as you dive into the Quran and its miracles. So we started with Surah Al-Fatiha, and it took us actually, two halaqas, but then the last one, it's just a reflection on the Surah Al-Baqarah. And Surah Al-Baqarah really needs, I don't know, I mean, it can take many hours to go over it, but I'm going to just do a highlight, and if God will, inshallah, maybe we can elaborate on it next year. The Surah Al-Baqarah is the second surah in the Quran, and it is the first after Al-Fatiha, as you all know. Surah Al-Baqarah is the longest surah in the Quran, and it contains 286 verses. In fact, it has the longest verse, which is number 282, dealing with the commerce and the borrowing. The fasting, the month of Ramadan, is only mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah. And therefore, the only surah that contains the 5 pillars of Islam is Surah Al-Baqarah. The surah revealed in Medina, so it is Surah Madaniyah. And as you know, the Quran is split into 2 parts. Part is the Makki version before the Hijrah, and the Makki one was primarily focused on Tawheed and Aqidah. And then the Madani, it really has to do with a lot of dealings in our daily life, as we will discuss in a little bit. It contains ibadat like Siyam and Hajj, and it contains mu'amalat like commerce, marriage, divorce, will, testimony. So it really encompasses a lot of things to build the Muslim society when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ moved to Medina. The name of the surah is from the parable of the cow, which is in ayat 67 to 71. And this ayat, when you read it, it illustrates the insufficiency of curbing obedience, because they start arguing, about the Baqarah. Allah asked them to slaughter a cow, so they can go ahead and obedience and get a cow, and they start slaughter it, but they start having all kind of questions. So as you ask questions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it, a little bit more difficult for you. So, and that happened really when faith is lost. People put off obedience with various excuses. And that's really a beautiful message that we sometimes fail to recognize, is that obedience is a key in our religion. And they put all these excuses, even when at last they obey in the letter, but they fail in the spirit. So they keep arguing, and then when they stuck, they said, okay, we're going to do it. But they fail in the spirit. Actually, the spirit success is to go with Allah have ordered you without much argument. And the and their self-sufficiency prevented them from seeing that they are spiritually are not alive. They are dead, because the livelihood of a human being in the highest spirit. And we see that really what is interesting is that at the end of this long surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes the faithful as they hear and obey. And that's really what you read in the verse before the last in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله. We believe in all the angels and the books and the prophets. لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله. We don't really differentiate between one and another. And then what? وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا. And they say we hear and obey. And that's really the key thing for our belief, is that as we believe from the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran and the command that given to us, we cannot question the reason. قالوا سمعنا وأطعنا. And then they ask for forgiveness. غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. So they ask for the forgiveness, because they know that Allah in his hand has the final destination. So that's where the name comes from. The major theme of Surah Al-Baqarah is really guidance. And when you go through the surah, you see that the pagans, the mushrikeen, and the Jews of Medina, they arguing to embrace Islam, and warning them of the munafiqeen of the fate that God has visited in the past for those who failed to heed his call. So you're talking about all the attempts to get them really to believe in Allah's words. And then other themes in the ayah include the creation of Adam and his superiority over angels, and about the nature of the Satan, because Allah have karamna bani Adam, and over the angel, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the angel to really prostrate to Adam, except the Satan, who refused to do so. And Adam's superiority was due to knowledge, and have really have the challenge to really have the impact on many human beings. And that's the challenge of the people on this life, is the temptation of the Satan to drive them away from the straight path. And when you look at Surah Al-Fatiha, following by Surah Al-Baqarah, and there is really a big science about the sequence of the surahs in the Quran, because in Surah Al-Fatiha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. And then the Satan, لأغوينهم أجمعين إلا عبادك منهم المخلصين. I will deceive all of them except the chosen one in their hearts. And these verses of his own choice, so have selected Adam and honor him to give him the knowledge. And that's what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. And then علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. So the whole thing is through the knowledge of Allah that given to human beings. The surah, as I said, is that has a lot of Islamic rules related to many subjects, like prayers, fasting, striving on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the pilgrimage to Mecca, the change of the direction of the Qibla from Jerusalem to Mecca, and that's a big event. Marriage, divorce, commerce, debt, a great many interests, really. And it as it covered all of that, it really, the focus was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us the way to navigate this life and stay in the straight path. So they give us all the rulings, helping us through the straight path, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Al-Fatiha said, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. Allah didn't say Ihdina ila as-sirat al-mustaqim. Ila meaning the guide us to the straight path. But then once we are in the straight path, we need the guidance through the path. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim, and didn't say Ihdina ila as-sirat. Ila means just to reach to the beginning of it. But we need the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go through the whole path of life until we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's really the path. Through that, you need rules and regulations to be able to tell you what to do and what not to do in a very specific way, because Allah knows better. So Allah creating us and give us the rules in order to be able to function properly through the straight path. There has been narrations that the reading and memorizing Surah Al-Baqarah was encouraged because it is mentioned in the Hadith as one of the most powerful surahs of the Holy Quran. And why it is the most powerful surah of the Holy Quran, the Mufassirin said that because it contained really the ayah, because Rasulullah ﷺ said, for everything there is a hump, and the hump of the Quran is Surah Al-Baqarah. In it there is an ayah which is the master of the ayah in the Quran. It is Ayatul Kursi. So really this is the greatest ayah in the whole Quran. It's contained in Surah Al-Baqarah and give it the most significance of all other ayat. So surahs, I mean. So because of the interest of time, to get reflections, I have chosen the first few verses, the last ayah, and in between the Ayatul Kursi, just to encompass the beginning and the end, but clearly indicating and focusing on Ayatul Kursi. The surah start with Alif Lam Mim, and these are the abbreviation. And there are 29 letters in the Arabic alphabet, and there are 29 surahs in the Quran that start with the abbreviated letters. These can be one, like Sad, two, like Hamim, three, like Alif Lam Mim, 4 and 5. And some of the scholars said that these letters are one of the miracles of the Quran, and none but Allah alone knows their meanings. And there are several interpretations, really interesting one. As I do search, I see a lot of really interpretation. One of the interpretations said that the abbreviation for either names or qualities of Allah, or for the names of the content of the respective surah, but we don't know. What does that mean? Because each is telling us really that we don't know enough, but each letter has a meaning that Allah meant to be, but we are not knowledgeable. So it tells us that to be humble, some of the scholars that it teaches humility. It teach, and it was a challenge to the kuffar, is when Allah telling them, it challenged them to come up with an ayah. He said this ayat is coming from putting letters together, like alif lam mim, ka ha ya ain sad, and so on. It's just a few letters put together. And some of the scholars said that it serves to captive the attention of the listeners by saying Saad. So you start wondering, just paying your attention, what do you mean and how? So you start thinking and getting excited about this gate to this particular surah. So the scholar said that the Alif Lam Mim, it has indications that to what the following verses is going to say. And some of the latest people really that done the numerical miracles of the Quran, they said that Alif Lam Mim, the most repetitive letters in Surah Al-Baqarah is Alif, followed by Lam, followed by Mim. I never check it out, but that's what I heard. Now, reflection on the after Alif Lam Mim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remember that we are reading the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after Alif Lam Mim is telling us really what this book is all about. And ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. In it, there is guidance, but you can read it in a different way, because these three dots, you can do the reading in two ways. You can say ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ, and then you continue فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, or you can say ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. So either way, there is a little subtle difference in the meaning, but sometimes you read it this way and read it the other to get the benefit of both. But the bottom line is that it is telling us that this book is la rayba fi, no doubt about it, because it's the words of Allah. It is not anyone else, including the Prophet words. It is and that's why there is no doubt in it. And then fihi hudan lil muttaqin. It is guidance, but guidance not to everybody. It's guidance to those who are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then really the word muttaqin, or the characteristics of the believers as being muttaqin, you can call it they are the righteous people, are those who are really conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when you read in the Quran, you wonder about the word taqwa. That's and the noun is the al-muttaqin. What's really it's really amazing is that how many times the word muttaqin comes in the Quran is more than any other word. It's over actually 83 times. And the taqwa is the ultimate goal to every one of us, because as we navigate in this life, then we elevate our level of taqwa to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that will make us really reach our goal and become triumph at the end of our life, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said inna lil muttaqina mafaza hadaiqa wa a'naba. The triumph, those who are going to triumph in this life, they are only the muttaqin, nobody else. And that's why the concept of taqwa is the thread to all the ibadat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is prescribing fasting. Why? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. You see, and all the others is to become closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like prayers 5 times a day. It's just a matter of, because we are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the time of prayer comes, so Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, this is a reminder of the connection. So we start connecting with Allah. And that's the beauty of our prayers. and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verses 3 and 4 give us actually the what taqwa mean. Who are the muttaqeen? So in the beginning of the book is telling us it is guidance to al-muttaqeen, and then right after is telling us who are the muttaqeen right away. And then he's the al-muttaqeen alladhina yu'minuna bil-ghayb, believe in the unseen, all the unseen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the angels, the day of the judgment, and the malaika and kutub, وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ, and establish their prayer. And they spend out of what have Allah provided for them. And then وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ وَبِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ يُوقِنُونَ. So part of it is belief, and part of it, the other part is action. Our religion is belief and action. Believe in al-ghaib, believe in the iman بالقرآن ما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون, because we have a certain that we will meet Allah in the day of judgment, and without that, really, the iman is not complete, because that's what gonna drive us to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So al-yaqeen of the hereafter is an integral part of our belief. And then it comes the action, the ibadat, and the top ibadat that is yuqimuna as-salah wa mimma razaqnahum yunfiqun. And there are other ayat that really goes into the other explanation of taqwa, and that's a whole subject by itself. But really, that's the essence of what the muttaqeen are. Now, I am gonna go into some reflection on Ayat al-Kursi, and as we said, that it has great significance. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever recites Ayat al-Kursi immediately after each prescribed prayer, there will be nothing standing between him and his entering paradise except death. I mean, these are incredible, really, statements from our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to see the significance of this. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum la ta'khudhuhu as-samawati wal ardu man dha alladhi yashfa'u 'indahu illa bi'idhnihi. Another hadith, we learned that if you recite Ayatul Kursi before you sleep, nothing will harm you from the entire night. Allah will send you an angel to protect you. So it really has great significance. Why? Because if we dive deep in it, we will realize really how great this the surah is. Okay. I'm gonna take each part and just give a little bit of reflection into it. It starts with the word Allah, and then said that Allah, no Allah but Allah, and then Al-Hayyul Qayyum. So there are three really parts here. Allah is it's the primary Arabic name of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah has infinite names. Out of there is 99 most holy, and out of this 99 is the name of Allah, followed by the name of Ar-Rahman. قُلْ ادْعُوا اللَّهَ أَوْ ادْعُوا الرَّحْمَنَ أَيْنَمَا تَدْعُوا. It is mentioned at the beginning of Surah Al-Fatiha, at the end of Surah Al-Nas, because Al-Fatiha say Bismillah, and then at the end of the Quran, من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. So it is the most repeated name in the Quran. It is repeated over 3,500 times, and more than half of the ayat in the Quran, which is 3,236, have the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The name comes from the verb alih. Alih means really to worship, means a'bud, and alih ilah. And the meaning really confirm that the kalima, the ilah, that Allah is the only one worth of worship. So aliha means abada, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that worthy of worship. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. I have created inth and jinn except to worship me. So really the key of the name is that Allah, we worship Allah, we have ibadah to Allah, and that's why the name of the word Allah come from. And then it followed by the kalima, which la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illahu. Some mistranslated as no God but God, but the correct translation is that there is no deity worth of worship other than Allah. Again, worth of worship, because Allah great attributes that we are all worshiping Allah. Allah create us to worship Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then it followed by two key names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Hayyul Qayyum. Al-Hayy is ever living. No beginning and no end. Everything else has a beginning and have an end except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is perfect life and give and takes life. None of us can give life, and all of our lives are deficient. We need food, we need drink, we need to sleep. And every life is followed by death. We decay and then followed by death. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes our souls every night when we go to sleep and revive them when we wake up, because we are asleep. It's like dead. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking our souls when we sleep and revive it again ila ajalin musamma. And then the word qayyum is the sustainer of all the existence. Allah gives other creations and all what they need is to have life. So give them everything they need to be able to survive. Allah doesn't need us, but we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أفمن هو قائم على كل نفس بما كسبت. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sustaining every nafs and knows exactly what we do. بما كسبت. بما كسبت. Okay. And this surah here is that it's go back to the concept of al-hayy. This surah here is say وهو الذي أحياكم ثم يميتكم ثم يحييكم إن الإنسان لكفور. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala أحيانا from nothing, and then we're gonna die, and then we're gonna be resurrected in the day of judgment. And al-Hayyul Qayyum, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala qayyumun ala ibadah, meaning that He is sustaining, giving every human being, whether is mu'min or kafir, the means and to be sustainable. If they, mu'min or kafir, the same thing. If they eat, they get energy. They breathe, they drink water. All the benefits, everything else as a human being is given to them, okay, to survive. And then in order for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not in order, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-Hayyul Qayyum. Al-Qayyum require that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala la ta'khudhu sinatun wala nawm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sinah means just dowsing a little bit, wala nawm, deep sleep. Why? Allah does not get tired, nor He gets sleepy, because He is al-Qayyum. He is taking care of all creations all the time, every second. So He cannot really go to sleep. Because when you go to sleep, you have no control. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la ta'khudhu sina wala nawm. And Allah didn't say la ta'khudhu sinatun wa nawm. He is emphasizing both. Even sinah, even a small little dozing a little bit. No. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. So he negating both of them separately for emphasis. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need food, doesn't need anything. Allah is al-Ghani. Mankind is in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then when you read this beautiful ayah in Surah Bani Israel or Surah Al-Isra, يا أيها الناس أنتم الفقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد, is really a beautiful ayah. O mankind, you are those in need of Allah, while Allah is the free of need, the praiseworthy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. Every other being beside it belongs to Allah, to Him. Everything, السماوات والأرض, belongs to Allah. It's complete ownership. And the beauty of the Arabic language, له, started له, meaning to Him. Everything belongs to Him. And that complete ownership means that nothing happened in this world except Allah has willed to be. And except Allah knows about it, except Allah has creating it. So, and that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Quran, بديع السماوات والأرض وإذا قضى أمرا فإنما يقول له كن فيكون. He is originating heavens and earth. And when He decrees a matter, He says, be, and it is. The entire creation of the heaven and earth belongs to Allah. And it is under full control and authority. له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. It is a rhetorical question, is meant to indicate His ultimate power. Who can possibly intercede? Intercession is the least form of power, because higher than this is you control. Higher than this, you create. Higher than that you are in a charge. Intercession, you go to your boss and you have an intercession to somebody else, because it has the sole authority. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the owner. So it really emphasizes al-Hayy al-Qayyum, له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. Intercession is only possible if Allah allows it. And a lot of scholars talk about intercessions. We know it's a big subject, but intercession is given to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he will intercede on our behalf in the Day of Judgment. And that's why we need to connect to love our Prophet Muhammad. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. He will shower His mercy upon those who love Allah and His Prophet Muhammad. So we really need to love our Prophet, because he will intercede for us in the Day of Judgment, when there is nothing else, no help else that you can get, and that becomes really the essence of أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله. So when we follow the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah will love us, and we will love our Prophet, and He will intercede in the Day of Judgment for us. يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's in front of them and what's behind them. It means that Allah knows what's around all of us. but there is more profound meaning that what's in front of them is what will happen to them in the future. Because يعلم ما بين أيديهم, يعني all around them, what around you could be to your right, to your left, to the front, and then وما خلفهم is really talks about the past too, and what's hidden behind, because anything behind you, you cannot see. So Allah knows everything, even if you hide it. So that encompasses the complete knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about every one records from the beginning till the end. ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. Allah knows everything about you, and as for the creation, they know nothing of Allah knowledge except Allah teach them. Allah knowledge is complete, and Allah select to give some knowledge to us, but it is very limited knowledge that we know. And that's why we shouldn't have an ego that we know a lot of things. No, we don't know a lot of things. We know very little. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in this ayah here, وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. And mankind have not been given of knowledge except a little. And that what happened in the pandemic, the whole world going around, in absolute disaster because of a little small virus that we cannot see and we cannot even control. It's totally out of our control. So our knowledge is very limited, and that's really makes us very humble. When we talk about the soul of human beings and what we happen when we sleep and we dream and where we go and a lot of things like that, it put us in the right perspective of what we really know as human beings. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض. Allah kursi contained the heaven and the earth. Kursi is different from al-arsh, the throne. Allah mentioned the throne in 11 verses and mentioned al-kursi only once in this ayah. Some of the scholars said kursi is the most significant creation of Allah. His kursi encompasses everything around us, everything in a very fine detail. Even the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to us than hablul warid, the vinyl cord. So we really, Allah is kursiyuhu, means encompassing everything. ولا يؤوده حفظهما. Allah never become tired of taking care of all the creation. ولا يؤوده حفظهما, protect them. Every single being is taken care of. Every single being on this earth is taken care of. The air you breathe is destined for you, specifically for a specific second in all your life. Everything that happened for every one of us, Allah knows. Everything, every creation, Allah is given sustenance to. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the beautiful verse in Surah Ar-Rahman, يَسْأَلُهُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ كُلَّ يَوْمٍ هُوَ فِي شَأْنٍ. Whoever is within the heavens and earth, ask him. Every day he is bringing about a matter. And that's why we need to be optimistic. Tomorrow is a different day. If you have difficulty and calamities, it's not going to be forever. It's going to change. Tomorrow is a different day. Give us hope of a change. Hope of a change to better, inshallah. We are 1151. The last ayah in the Quran is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's really is telling us, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Give us really don't take it to heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you. You know your capacity. He will not bear Allah's soul except from what it can bear. And that's a beautiful thing. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. So it will have the consequence of what good it has gained, and it will bear the consequence of what evil have earned. كسبت واكتسبت. كسبت mean gain. اكتسبت, here it's an evil consequences of the meaning. Only the ta makes a difference. So we are responsible for what we do, good or bad. Good is gonna count it for us. Bad is gonna count it against us. So and then it followed by really the most beautiful dua in the Quran. And I personally love to recite this ayah in my prayers a lot, because this is a beautiful dua while you are meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during prayer. This is the best thing that you can do, particularly when you choose certain ayat, is that to praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you are بين يدي الله during the prayer. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. Do not impose blame upon us if we have forgotten or done something wrong. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. Our Lord, lay not upon us a burden like that which you have laid upon those before us. ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به. Our Lord, and burden us not with that which we have no ability to bear. And that comes like, explaining لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to let us to bear that we cannot really really able to afford. And that's really from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's why it follow up with the al-'afw wal-maghfirah. wa'fu 'anna waghfir lana warhamna. And here al-'afw, al-ghufran, al-rahmah. Three things really, the beautiful attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala love a human being, three things happen. The al-'afw, from what Allah from what you have done wrong in the past, al-'afw. waghfir lana, and ya'fu, waghfir lana khatayana, arhamna, and have mercy upon us. And then we pray to Allah for to pardon us, to forgive us, to have mercy upon us. And then we admit that Anta Mawlana, Anta Mawlana, you are the protector. فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين, and give us victory over the disbelieving people. With that, really,